Hello there, welcome back to Eternal, and I hope your day is going well. I'm your Jedi Master, and today we'll be talking about Form 7 of Lightsaber Combat. This is the final installment in our 7 Forms of Lightsaber Combat playlist, although I will have a bonus video on the part. But anyway, let's get right into it. So Form 7 was known as Juyo, and it was also known as the Frosty Form, and the Way of the Vornsker. And this was because it was extremely ferocious, and, very vicious, and very offense-driven. It also had a very big emotional and internal part to play with this form, and it very much fed off hatred. This meant that the Jedi eventually deemed this to be a more dark side form, and banned it from pretty much anyone who wasn't a Jedi Master. So sorry, Anakin, they wouldn't let you study this form. But Jedi Masters could, as they deemed, they had more experience. They thought, yeah, they're gonna have way more control on their emotions, so it's fine if we let them learn this. And Sidious actually kind of agreed with this. He did say that this was a very dark side form. This form very much was, and this was because of the emotional part to play with this form. It wasn't necessarily the offense. The reason why is we're looking at Ataru and Gemso, which were very much offense driven, especially Gemso, It was turning your defense into your offense. Pretty much, using strength and power to turn your opponent's offense, then to turn them onto defense. However, that didn't really have as much of an emotional part to play in this. This is very much driven by one thing: hatred. Now this means that your attacks are a little bit more powerful. When you use your anger in your dueling, you kind of have less neatness and control. It's not as tidy, but you do gain a little bit more power because you've got that adrenaline boost, and you're going in for just trying to take out your opponent, and you just have way more powerful attacks. Your attacks are definitely a lot stronger, and it's just, it's less tidy, and you're sacrificing that neatness, but for power and strength, and brutality, and viciousness, and ferocity, which was why it was regarded as a bit more of a dark side form. Now, this form has some strengths and weaknesses, as always. Now, its strengths were, because it was so powerful, and extremely vicious, and offense-driven, and used your hatred, it meant that it was, in all fairness, pretty good, actually. Might not seem like it, but it actually was very good. That's because of all that offense. As I said before, you don't really just want to be defending, as you put in a very uncomfortable position. I don't know why I can't speak today, it seems. Anyway, now this also means that, you can break through a lot more offense. When you put someone in an uncomfortable position in defense, they are, as I said, less comfortable. But it also means they're a little bit more restricted in everything, because they're going to be using less movement, and they're going to be trying to do more with their arm and upper body, which you don't really want to do. You want to include the movement of the legs, are a very essential part in defense. And that, yes, I guess they are a bit underrated in defense, and it does seem like you're using more of your arms and upper body, but you want to use that movement as it allows you to dodge. You don't want your legs to freeze up, which can happen if you're just being barraged. One of the three. I guess it depends on how you pronounce them. Yeah, but being barraged by offense, and this means that bombarded, that's what I wanted to say. I knew it. Right, bombarded was the right word, sorry guys, but bombarded by offense, and this is a bit of a problem in a defensive sense, because your legs will just freeze up. You won't use your legs, because you'll be trying to just do everything with your arms, be very restricted, you're going to feel a bit more rushed, you're not going to be as, patient and control. You're going to be rushing more, you're more panicky, meaning you're in a very uncomfortable state, and from an offensive viability, it's great, because you can very easily rip through your opponent's defense and then just, pretty much kill them there. Meaning that this form of strengths were, because it was so powerful, you could break even the strongest of defense with enough raw emotions and power, I guess. Now this does mean that it has one major flaw, and it's similar with Ataru and Gemso. When I talked about them, I said that, their weaknesses was they could get caught up in their offense. And this is pretty much the same here, but in a different scenario. Well, it's actually the same scenario, but different in a sense, and it's actually greater. Again, you can get caught up in your offense, but you have one more pivotal thing that means that is a greater chance. And that's called your hatred, and being blinded by emotions and hatred, which Anakin was in Revenge of the Sith, and that's why he lost to Kenobi and the high ground. And that's because when you're using hatred and stuff, you're not going think, you're going do. You're pretty much just going, don't think, just do. And you're just going going through all the cycles, just trying to absolutely destroy them, trying to take them out there and then. Now with a lot more defensive forms, you're thinking more, and it's a massive part of dueling. You have to think, you have to definitely think about what you're doing and analyse, and that's why we say change up what you're doing quite a lot in fencing. And from a pretty much fencing aspect, you don't want to be using hatred and duel because you're going to lose to something called counterattack and duck it. Especially for me, when people try and rush and flash, which is a running attack, duck hitting is brilliant because they don't see it coming. When someone's bombarding you with offense, I'm going to say bombarding you with offense again. When they're bombarding you with offense, I need to hit it again, they're in a bit of pretty much cycle of, they're not seeing as much. And when you're using hatred, you're less aware on actually your surroundings. You're more focused on that one thing you're trying to take out and destroy, less focused on what they're really doing and everything else. And this is the problem that you have with hatred. You have to control your hatred in a way with this and still think and see what you're doing. Otherwise you'll get caught up in that offense, caught up in that hatred, meaning you're going to be more susceptible to counterattacks. Especially if you're doing very, very quick offense. And if they dodge, which is why the legs are so essential and you don't want to be put in that uncomfortable position, if they dodge, they can quickly get a pretty much cut or stab of that, a counter from that, which will take you out. And you don't want to be caught up in that offense, in that rage, and be blinded by it, causing you to pretty much lose due to potentially a very simple counterattack. That was its main problem. You can be pretty much, blinded by your hatred, which will cause you to have less awareness of your surroundings. A little bit, you will have focus on your duelist. Don't get me wrong. You will be able to, see what your opponent's doing, and everything. But it will feel it won't look different because it'll just be defending because you're using that bombarding offense. Meaning, you're not going to be thinking, oh look, they're now going to counter. You're going flat out offense, meaning, it's very likely they're just going to be defending, and you're probably going to get them in that uncomfortable state, which is how you win the duel. You bombard them enough with offense to just destroy them and rip through their defense wall and take them out there. Meaning you are susceptible to them dodging or pretty much avoiding that and being blinded by your own rage and then losing the duel. Now as always, this form does have its the notable practitioners. In this case we're going to talk about two. First one is Darth Sidious. This is Sidious form, and he's actually able to control his hatred toward his opponents in a way that it means that he's still seeing, still thinking, able to react to what they're doing, and able to win the duel. And the second person we're going to be talking about a little bit more, Darth Maul. This was Darth Maul's form. We see that when he duels Kenobi all those times because he's using that offense, he's using that raw hatred against Kenobi to try and take him out. And as I said, hatred will be your downfall because you're going to be thinking less. You won't really think about, you won't react as easily to your opponent because you won't be as aware. You're going to have a slower reaction time to what your opponent does in a sense of offense. If they're going to use Xian, which would be this form's main, downfall, then, you won't realise and you won't have enough time to regroup and think of how to defend yourself against that counter because you're just going to be an emotional attack. Now back to Darth Maul. Now this was Darth Maul's form, as I said. He very much used it against Kenobi, as I said. And he did use actually very powerful offenses and offense. He used very powerful attacks. He was very much driven by his emotions, and especially his hatred. He was pretty much just pure hatred. I mean, look at him. He was pretty much a monster. He decided to, take out that village. And so this was really showing us, he was a pure monster. He was bound by hatred, driven by it. I mean, this form really suited him. He had so much hatred from his childhood against Kenobi, meaning, he just was driven by that hatred. This was his perfect form, and his attacks were very powerful due to it. In a quick recap of Form 7, Form 7 was a very offensive, ferocious, vicious form. Had the emotions played a very big part of this. They're a massive aspect of this form, making it deemed by the Jedi a bit more unstable, a more dark side orientated form, meaning they banned it for people that weren't Jedi Masters to, not use it as they were worried that they would fall to the dark side, and they thought the Jedi Masters could handle their emotions and handle the form. Anyway guys, I do hope you've enjoyed the 7 Forms Lightsaber Combat playlist. As I said, I will have a bonus video on Rapard soon, and yeah, may the Force be with you.